So when we said that let's have some topics from you, some questions from you, most of you probably said that there are no specific questions, or that questions would emerge as the talk proceeds, as I say something. So we are in a wonderful position. You ostensibly don't have anything to ask, and I usually have nothing to say. And yet we are talking. This promises then to be a very beautiful talk, because you have no questions and I have really no answer. You see, we may know, or we may not know, but we are always seeking, searching. The usual person, the well-adjusted individual, whom we call as the normal man, mostly claims to know what he wants. He goes to the market and says, I need a shirt. Then he says, I need a few vegetables. Then he says, I need a wife. Money, prestige. And he says, he claims that he really knows what he wants. Not only does he know what he wants, he also knows the means to get what he wants. So he wants trousers, he claims he knows that. And he also knows where to get trousers. So he immediately rushes to that venue, to that medium. Then there are spiritual seekers like us who have realized that they are seeking but do not quite know what they are seeking. They have earned the humility to say that we do not know what we want. They have regained their wisdom to say that we have come to a meeting, to a satsang like this, to just listen. And we don't have any specific demands or questions. Now surely the second kind of mind is an advancement over the first kind. The first kind said, I want and I also know what I want. The second kind is saying, I can sense that whatever I have wanted has not sufficed. And I have sensed that it would not really be wise to predetermine what is worth getting. So I leave the matter in the speaker's hands. I will not say that I want an answer to this specific question. Let time decide. Let the speaker, let the teacher decide. Let the happening decide for itself what I learn. I will not claim. That is your position. Right? But still, you are very sure about one thing, that listening is needed. You may not be insisting that you want to listen to a particular type of talk, yet of this much you are very sure that there is a need to listen. Yeah? This need to listen, to get, to seek, to search, to find, to obtain, to reach, to attain. Let's talk about this. To be human is to want. To be human is to be born as a search. This search manifests itself in many ways. What is it that we want? What is it that this mind is really looking for? What is this thing called desire? We are proceeding hand in hand on this, are we not? We are talking about life. We are talking about our search, our wants, our desires, our life, right? Not some concept from a book. So what is it that we want? What is it that we want? Let's proceed at the most basic level with the simplest kind of example. Let's say I claim that I want A. What is this? I want A. What is this? What is the whole mental process like? I want A. Can you describe the happening when you say I want X? What is the happening like? And we live in this, don't we? There is nobody here who doesn't want A or X or something. So when I say I want X, what is happening in the mind? What is required to want something? What is required to want something? Alright, do you want something when you are fully relaxed? Do you want something when you are so deeply relaxed that you have fallen asleep? Do you want something? So what is required to want something? Firstly,
To be awake.
to be conscious. To be conscious. To be perceiving the world. To be perceiving the world. That is what is meant by consciousness. You say you are conscious when you can claim that here is a wall, here is a bulb, there is a road, right? So only when you can sense the world do you say that you are conscious. So first of all, consciousness is required to desire. What is consciousness? Me and the world. There is the world and there is me. The moment there is this separation, there is a shopping mall to attract you, offer you something, make you feel incomplete. I am there, the world is there, the world is not me, so there is something to get. Do you see the story? This is what it means to be conscious. This is what it means to be awake. This is what you called as being awake, right? I am there, the wall is there, the car is there, the restaurant is there, the food is there, the man is there, all the goods of the world are there, all the heavens and the gods are there, and I am here, a small limited unit. So now I can say that there is something outside of me. That is consciousness. Now I will say that there is something outside of me. This something outside of me I call as, what is it that I perceive outside of me? The world. The world. So I am saying there is something outside of me that is the very basis of consciousness. And when there is a world outside of me, I can extend my hand and pluck something from the world. Right? Now there is something to get from. Now there is somewhere to reach in the world. So to be conscious is to be desirous. Do you see this? To be conscious is to be desirous, because to be conscious is to be living in a world that can attract you through the senses and through your inner feeling of incompletion. What is this inner feeling of incompletion? I am the body and the body is small, and out there is such a large and sprawling universe. So I am a little bit, and outside of me there is this vast expanse. This is the feeling of incompletion, that something great lies outside of me. To be conscious is to be incomplete. This is the beginning of desire. This is the beginning of wanting.
Sorry, what happens when you don't actually feel you want something from the world? What is that state? I mean, it's not in a, because I just experienced it today, okay? It's not in a way that I feel I don't need anything. It's simply, I feel I don't want anything. I don't want to get in contact with anyone. I just want to be left alone. And also, I'm not happy in that way. So it's a conflict.
Then it is just a matter of not being able to name the desire. It is just a matter of not being fully conscious of the desire. So there is a desire lurking within, but I am unable to put my finger on it. I am unable to bring it to the conscious mind and hence give it a name. That's all. If you will pay more attention to the daily actions, then you will also probably be able to give some kind of a name to it, which will not really help. Not that naming will alleviate the problem, but at least you will be able to call it and point it. So, consciousness is in completion, and then I start wanting. When I am wanting, when you want something, what do you want? When you want something, let's say I want food. A very simple example. I want, please repeat, I want food. If I want food, do I want to keep wanting food? You'll have to be very close with this. When you want food, what do you want? You want to eat. And what will eating do? Fulfill. And what will this fulfillment do to the want? Stop it, right? So when you want food, you do not want to keep wanting. You want to end the wanting. You want to stop the wanting, right? Are we one on this? When I want something, I want the want to stop. If I want water, it is because I am feeling thirsty. So when I drink water, the thirst must go away. I do not want to keep wanting, or do I? Will you drink water if you know that even after drinking water you will keep feeling equally thirsty? Then drinking water will not really be wise, right? So that seems like an important observation. Desire does not want to continue. Desire wants to end. That is the very basic nature of desire. Desire itself demands its own annihilation. We usually say that desire and pleasure are related. But are they really related? The very demand of desire is, please, I want to end. In a sense, desire is suicidal. Desire is saying, end me. I don't want to keep feeling thirsty. Bring an end to this state of suffering. But desire was consciousness. So that seems to be the nature of consciousness as well. Consciousness was humanity. Might it be possible that to be human is to have a desire to go beyond being human, just as every desire wants its end. And desire is consciousness, and consciousness is what we call as being human. So what we call as our humanness is also always crying for its end. You do not want to merely remain human. You want to reach a point beyond humanness, beyond the normal human boundaries, diversities, separations, divisions, asks, wants, successes, failures, birth, death, youth, old age. Deep within you want an end to all this. Just as thirst wants its own end. Right? So desire wants its end. To fulfill your desire, you put in a lot of energy, time, resources, don't you? That is what desire asks. Fulfillment. And if that requires a payment, make the payment. The payment would be your life. Man spends his life fulfilling desires of any kind. You look at the man on the road, and he would be chasing some desire. Man does not move without being desirous. The desire might be explicit or implicit, large or small, of this world or of the other world, but a desire is still a desire. Desire is our very engine. We are saying desire wants to come to an end, and you are investing yourself so much in the desire. So what would be a wise way of desiring then? What must you desire?
Not to desire. Not to desire.
But desiring is consciousness. Even if you desire not to desire, you would still be desirous.
I would say God or love. I would say God or love.
God or love. Okay. We had referred to this just a while back. But now, let's go back to the example. You are thirsty, and there is some liquid on that table. And drinking that liquid requires payment as well. The payment is your time, your life, your resources, your attention, everything. You are thirsty, there is something kept on that table, and that something is promising that it will alleviate your thirst. That if you drink it, you will get rid of your thirst. And remember, it is not coming free. You are going there, you are paying money for it. You are investing time in it. Right? So there is a cost involved. You go there, you make the payment, you drink it, you come back. And after a while, you again feel like drinking it. So you again go there, you again make the payment, you again drink it, and you come back. And after a while, you again feel like drinking it. Then must you continue making the payment? Must you continue going to that table, to that liquid? Yes? Yes?
Yes.
But your state is remaining the same. You were desirous 2 days back, 2 years back. You are desirous even now. Just that now you have made 10 visits to that table and paid 10 times over. Would you want to keep paying for something which does not give you what it promises? The table is promising you relief from desire.
Yeah.
But the more you go to that table, the more there is a need to go again to that table. Would you go to that table? Would you? Okay, must you?
No, you have a choice.
Yeah, but if you're not going to that table, you're just gonna go somewhere else.
Ah.
You're gonna find another table. The table and the liquid is not the thing. It's not what creates the desire. Because you're just gonna find other places and you're gonna just attract other situations. They're gonna lead
What
you
if
to
the
a
table
different table.
represents the totality of all that can ever attract you? What if the table represents the world itself? So whatever will attract you and ever call you is there on the table. Let that liquid represent the totality of all that you can ever desire. So you may desire A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So you have all kinds of jars and vasa and everything, containers on that table. But whatever you pick up, however much you pay, the result is always the same. There is a need to go back to that table. Must you keep going back to that table? Your state remains the same even after repeated payments. Will you keep paying? When you look at it so attentively, then the answer is obvious. Then you say, no, I won't continue to pay. It is not really wise to continue investing myself, chasing that promise, a promise that never gets fulfilled. Right? Now that brings us to a very important word. Promise. We had said to be human is to be desirous. The nature of consciousness is to desire. Can you desire in absence of promise and hope? Okay. When does desire begin? Desire begins when you perceive a world out there, right? And the world makes a... What does the world say? You hear that music there, right? What is the music saying? You smell some nice food. What is the smell saying?
Kind of emotions.
Come try me. Come try me. It's an advertisement. Huh? A nice man, a nice woman. What is he saying? Come, come. Here you will get what you want. Huh? So promise. You cannot desire in absence of a promise. Please see this, that this is the fundamental duality of mind. You desire only because you are hopeful that the desire will be fulfilled someday. Hoping and incompletion go together. Only because you feel incomplete do you hope for fulfillment. And you can also state it the other way around, that because you feel that something out there has something to offer, so you start feeling a little inferior, a little limited, a little incomplete. Huh? Have you seen how advertisers work? Have you watched TV ads? They'll say, oh, see, a new car model has arrived and it's so great, and you don't have it. And if you have it, your life will improve. So the world is saying, I have something tremendous that you don't have. And that is desire. A promise comes, and along with the promise, a desire comes. Or you could view it a little differently. You could say, no. The desire comes, and then the desire searches for an appropriate place where the want can be fulfilled. Whichever way you state, you are saying the same thing. You are saying that these two go hand in hand. Which two? Which two? The inner feeling of incompleteness and the hope from outside. That out there, something, somewhere, someone, something is special. Man's life is spent in this cycle of duality, is it not? And we don't need to read scriptures to know this. It is obvious. You stand on the crossing If you stand at the crossing and watch the people going by, or if you can just observe the people in your home, it is obvious. Man's life is spent in this. Something good is going to happen, get it. Something bad is going to happen, avoid it. Reach somewhere or get away from somewhere. That is man's life. To break this cycle, if we can break either end, it would suffice. If you are someone who is self-observant, you could begin by saying that I don't want to desire. That I don't want to desire. I will no more desire. You could begin this way, but you will face a great challenge if you begin this way. What is the challenge? The challenge is that the entity that is saying that I do not want to desire or that I will give up desire is itself a product of desire. Who are you? Who is a human being? Who are all of us? Our first two cells were cells of desire. The first two cells of this body. And after that, it is all stuff taken from the world. Food, air, water, sunlight in a physical sense, and thoughts, ideas, religion, beliefs in a mental sense. This I that will say I want to drop desire or I will drop desire is itself a product of the outside. Then how can it drop the outside? Saying that I want to drop desire is like saying that I want to drop the world. I want to drop the external, the outside. If I am totally composed of the outside, how will I drop the outside? Because that would mean disappearance. I am no more. So people have tried this approach since centuries. And teachers and gurus have been advising this. Desire is bad, drop desire. It does not seem to have worked a lot. Because even after dropping all the desires, you would still remain you the dropper of desires. And you the dropper of desire is still a product of external influence. And if you are a product of external influence, you will be prone to external influence. That will be your very basic constitution. We said there are two ends of duality, hope, desire and promise. Next we are seeing that attacking the end within, attacking the end of desire is a little difficult. In fact, almost impossible by definition. So now let's pay attention to the other end. The end of, what is the other end? Promise. Can we drop that end? Can we drop that end?
Yeah, sorry, I just want to say something. Like the promise, actually, the way I perceive it, it's actually our own perception. Because, okay, you are here and you didn't say anything, you're just giving a discourse, okay? My perception of what the promise I'm getting from you probably is different of all the other people, or not. But, I mean, the promise itself, it's my own perception, not something that you say. You're just here and you're talking, and what I'm going to take or not, it's according to my own perception.
Does that really happen?
Well, yes, it
When
happens.
you are
Because
watching-
I came, for example, I came with certain things in mind. I would say, okay, even I was talking with him before and I said I don't have any expectations. And maybe that is true on a very low level, but yes, in my mind I do create expectations.
we all-
Otherwise, probably I won't be here.
Yes, right. You create expectations, and that expectation cannot stand without a corresponding promise. The proof of that is that all your expectations are coming from previous experiences. Can you expect something that the world has never previously offered you? Go into whatever you have expected till now. Is there anything that you have expected or are expecting right now which has not been offered to you by the world in the past? In other words, all that the world has promised to you in the past has been internalized by you as your expectations. So even if you say that the world is not offering, I am expecting, even that expectation is just the promise which has been internalized. So it is still a promise. Let's say you expect, what is it that you expect? You expect good food. Can you expect good food without ever having tasted good food in the past? If you have never tasted good food in the past, you will not even have a concept of good food. Are you getting? When you say, oh my God, this time I want a good journey in the bus, then surely you have something in the mind. You want this journey to be like the best journey that you have ever had, or the best journey that you have ever heard of, or the best journey that you have ever read of. So, some promise somewhere is becoming your expectation. You never expect something which has no form, no shape, no name. You always expect an object. And where are all the objects found? Are the objects found here, there, somewhere? Where are all the objects found? It's all right. But if I say go and pick up a chair, would you pick up it in the brain? Where are all the objects found?
In the world.
In the world. Right? Whatever be the expectation is always from the world. Get it? So because it is so difficult to look within, because one thing that the ego really hates is self-observation. So maybe we can look at the other end. And what is the other end? The end of promise. Can we see that nothing new is ever promised? We have been defeated 1,000,000 times till now. The promises that the world made us have never been really kept. And the proof of that is that we keep desiring. What was the promise? What does anything promise? What does anything promise? I will end desire. And we are still desiring. That is a proof that nothing has ever kept its promise. Though nothing has ever kept its promise, yet the same old things of the past dress up as new things or new persons or new situations or new ideas and present themselves saying, all right, that old shop could not supply what you needed, but this is a new shop. It will give you what you want. All right, your old degree did not suffice. Come on, get a new degree. All right, your old job was a rotten one. But come on, this is a new office, a new job, a new boss. All right, your old relationships were life-sucking. But this is a new man and a new relationship. This will be heavenly. That is what the world promises. That even though you have been duped, defeated, deceived in the past, yet something new can happen. That is what the promise is. Can we be more careful when listening to promises? A is offering something, and A seems to have come to your life for the first time, but you have been cheated by B. Apparently A and B are not the same, so there is some reason for you to trust A. Internally to yourself, you want to make an argument that the one who deceived me was B, and this fellow is a new one, his name is A. So this time I will not be cheated. This time my story will reach a happy conclusion. Is that not what we feel? Come on, is that not what we feel? Yes? Not really? Not really? Then why is it? Yeah. Then what is it? Then what is it that keeps bringing you to new things?
Well, it brings me to new things, but I can be open to new things. I don't fill it completely in because B cheated me and A will not.
Now let's look at this. What is meant by being open to something new? You are saying that I'm just open to new things. What is meant by being open to new things?
That maybe things can happen which I don't know or don't expect, or just open
Now,
your expectations.
yes, of course, things can happen that of which you really do not know, and knowledge is never complete. So surely things, even without your expectation, even without your formal declaration, will happen in a way of which you do not know. Even the one who claims that I know of everything is just making a false claim, because knowledge is never complete. But tell me, is it really that straightforward? When I'm saying that I'm just open to the universe, am I really open to everything that the universe will offer without resistance and without filtering? If we are, then wonderful. You came here for a talk. Would you have been equally attentive had I started talking about culinary matters? Would you have been equally receptive had I started talking about geopolitical situations in the Middle East? Would you have been equally receptive had I started talking about astrology? Or let's say, about some weird technology of which you have no conception at all? I might be a mechanical engineer and I start talking about the intricate details of the latest car engine. Would you still be attentive? No. Because even if we claim that we are just open, the fact is that we expect. And if that expectation is broken, we will not really be comfortable. Spirituality is about being in contact with the fact of one's life. If we are missing out on that, then things will become little messy. You know, it is a nice thing to say that I am just flowing in the river and let the river take me anywhere. I am open to all situations, all people, all changes. Is that really so? Would that, very simple things. If you observe the facts of your life, if it gets a little too hot, the mind wants to resist it. You call up somebody, and is it not so that in the subconscious there is an expectation of what you are going to hear? And if what that person says is very different from what you have been internally expecting, then there is a shock. Not only a shock, a resistance as well. You may not sense that if that person is not yet saying something against your expectations. But you will sense that when he will indeed one day go against your expectations, that is when you will surely have to sense it. Right? Maybe the day has not yet come. But the day will come, and that is the very law of duality. Let time not offer a sense of security. Whatever is in time is going to end. Right? So we were saying that A is offering something that B failed to deliver. And even though B failed to deliver, yet A appears lucrative because A is different from B. If B comes again, a salesperson did not keep his promise. If he comes again to sell his goods, you would be reluctant in trusting him, right? A salesperson broke his promise. If he comes again to you, you would not easily trust him, would you? But if a different salesperson comes to you with a different good, then you would be more open to trust him. Am I right? Does that happen? What if the same old salesperson has dressed up as the new one? What if the same old goods are being touted as new goods? A and B might be different only in name. Are A and B really different? And really means really. The old book did not satisfy, so I have picked up a new book. Is the new one different only in the title, in the cover page, in the author, in the content, in the style? Or is it really, really different? The old teacher failed to deliver what he promised. So I went to a different one. Is the second one really any different from the first one? Now I know that when we hear this, it is not really entertaining. It is not really pleasant. Because we want to believe that somewhere out there something grand lies which will ultimately bring us to a conclusion. That something out there could be God. That something out there could be enlightenment. But we surely believe that there is something out there which will bring us to a full stop, which will bring an end to the desire. Are we getting it? Go again through the whole thing. Desire wants its own dissolution, does it not? We want to end the desire. Nobody wants to continue desiring. I'm talking about the facts of life. Nobody wants to continue desiring.
Sorry, I tried this actually. I did experience a little bit, and actually it only creates apathy. And it gives you the state that you don't want anything, but you also don't have a desire to live.
You also don't have
A desire to continue living.
continue living, yes.
So how do you work through that?
We'll come to that. We'll come to that. That will involve the very basic definition of living. So we'll come to that. Now if it is possible for me to be attentive, careful and detect that whatever comes to me as a new offering from the world is always the same ancient offering, then I will not be fooled. If I can timely, spontaneously sense that nothing different, nothing new is really ever possible in this world, then the world will cease to be attractive. then that which chains me, then that which pulls me will lose its power. But only when the hope of the new from the world, and when I say world, that means everything that you can think of. Your imaginations are included in the world. You have come a lot away from your center, and physically too, you have covered a lot of distance to be here. Some of you are coming from different cities, and others are coming from far off countries. Surely you feel that something new is possible with change of location. Surely you feel that something that you have not already had an experience of is possible when you meet someone new, when you go to a new city, when you go to new places, when you pass through changed experiences. My little advice is find out if anything really new is possible in this world. Find out whether the promises that are held out to us can ever be genuine promises. When you are not looking in the wrong place, then it is quite possible that you will get what you want. When all the fake shopkeepers are not only making promises to you, but are in fact able to sell their spurious goods to you, then surely what is true and genuine will be away from you. The true and genuine need not be chased. Just be cautious of all that which is fake, adulterated, deceptive, spurious. Next time something appears to be calling, examine it. Has the same thing not called several times before in another shape, in another form, at another time, in another situation? Has the call ever satisfied you? And if it has never satisfied you, will it satisfy you today? When you come to this point of hopelessness, then future dissolves. Till the time there is hope, there will be a future. There will be new things to do. The moment hope is gone, the moment you see the stupidity of believing in the promise, something becomes available to you which is never promised but always delivered. Yes, but that becomes available only when you first stop looking for promises. Yes? Yes, now we'll take what you had said. You had said if this thing happens, then you become apathetic. By that probably you meant indifferent. That you become so indifferent towards the world that life does not remain worth living. Yes? Did I get you right? That's what you said. Have you really ever known that state? Or are you imagining that state?
I cannot say I was close to being suicidal, but I simply sit and I do nothing, and I don't want to hear anything, I don't want to eat, I don't want, of course, then the hunger will take over, and then sooner or later I'm gonna go and eat. But there is a point where simply I don't feel happy, I don't feel sad, I don't feel anything. So this is what I mean by apathy.
Yes. No?
It is a state of non-desire. Numbness. It's more of numbness. But I don't feel comfortable being in that state either.
Yes.
So yes, I do go from up and down, like desireless, and then so I don't manage to find the balance that I can integrate myself to be able to flow, to receive new experiences, and to be able to let it go or make the discernment.
Right. So you are saying that you have been so close to that experience that you have even wanted to give up on life. When one is giving up the body, is he desireless?
No, not really.
Is he desireless? There is something that is coming with remaining in the body, with remaining conscious, that he desires to give up. We see the whole argument behind giving up the body, the whole rationale of suicide. There is something that comes with being conscious that I do not like. To be conscious is to be tense, worried, anxious, or simply numb. I do not like that. And I think that by giving up the body and thereby giving up consciousness itself, I will be able to avoid that situation. There is a very clear desire involved here. The desire to not to be what you are. And you see no other way of changing. You have come to India, and India, since you are here, has looked at death in a totally different way. When a person dies, India does not believe that he has died at all. You may go and burn the body or bury the body. India does not believe that anything has happened. That is why here people talk so much about reincarnation. That death is not death at all, you will come back. It is a continuation, it is not a death at all. India has defined death totally differently. Death is wonderful because consciousness is a pain. Death is wonderful because what we call as normal human life is just suffering. So death is wonderful. We all want to come to an end just as desire wants to come to an end. But the end must be real. The end cannot just be the end of the body. Because we are heavily body identified, so we end the body assuming that we have ended. India has said it is wonderful to try to end, but end really, end fully, not a fake ending. Can we come really to an end? That which says that I do not like this or I do not like that. Is it possible to bring that to an end? How? We had talked for a while that it is impossible to desire in absence of an experience, a previous experience. When you say that you do not like what is going on, you surely have an idea of what you want to go on. Getting it? What you want to go on will necessarily come from the world. When you see that not only in a negative sense, even in positive sense, in all kinds of ways, it is futile to expect from the outside, then even the expectation that society will deliver you something will vanish.
No, I know it won't deliver anything because yes, as you said, I do believe in reincarnation and not just being in India. So I understand that the reason for me being here is to learn some lessons. Okay, I probably have a problem with that because I don't get what my lessons are. So I don't know. Maybe I came looking for answers.
Have you received any kind of answer, even one answer in the past? There is nobody who would have never received an answer in the past. And I'm not talking about answers to questions in mathematics. I'm asking for answers to questions related to life itself. So we have received answers. We must have read books. We must have listened to teachers. That doesn't seem to have helped. What makes you think that it can help in the future? What makes you think that another country, another teacher, another situation, another topic can be of any avail?
Well, for me personally, what makes me think that is the fact that I connect with some people, like with some people, yes, on a better level, and with some people, no. Like I don't necessarily like their company, or so. Yeah, we do connect with our teachers or people around us in a way or another. So yeah, I might not agree with what other teachers tell me, but I might agree with what you're saying, and I might like your teachings, and I might follow. So yes, it will be a way of.
So you will follow what you agree with.
It depends. It comes with understanding and with time. It
You
doesn't come all
see
at
that
once.
this happens when a promise is made. I am attracted towards only that which I find as good. And if I am going towards what I choose, what I find agreeable, then can it really change me? The last teacher that you listened to was chosen by you, you found him agreeable. The next teacher you would listen to would again be chosen by you in the sense that you will find him agreeable.
No, I don't mean agreeable in a way of I like or I don't like. I also had some resistance towards the previous teacher, but she was just giving me a course, not a teacher as a spiritual teacher.
Yes.
So I did have some resistance to some advices, but I also realized that she doesn't mean to harm me, and that the fact that I have resistance towards these advices is just my own fears or my own dislikes. So I also learned to look at it and like be conscious that she doesn't mean any harm to me, and I can just accept and try to.
Dear, what if I say that the real teacher will mean all the harm to you? Because you are the one who does not like herself. And we all are like that, not especially you. We had said that to be conscious is to live in incompletion, and nobody likes incompletion. So fundamentally, none of us like ourselves. The proof is that we all want to become something else, in some sense or the other. Even if you are greatly advanced, you still want to become a Buddha. You do not like yourself. This yourself is your very disease. Why should the real teacher protect this, what you call as yourself? You are saying you like that teacher, thinking that this teacher is not going to harm you. I'm saying the teacher must harm you.
No, I don't. I'm sorry. I
Please understand
disagree with
this.
that.
What is this you that I'm referring to?
Well, I'm sorry. I just have another. Maybe it's just my personal. Okay, I don't like to consider myself as separate beings, as the human and the unlimited. Because in the end, I am here in this human body. Yes, the fact that I can transcend, or there is a limitless energy within me, yes, but I don't like to see it on a separate way.
Sorry, ma'am. We are violating the basic laws of science. We, as we know ourselves, are bodily creatures. We, as we know ourselves, have no limitless energy. And if somebody is telling us that we have limitless energy, then that fellow neither knows who we are, nor knows basic physics. We are very limited beings. And unless we acknowledge that, the limitless will remain elusive. We are very, very limitless. It is a pleasing idea that we are infinite, we have great energy, and we can transcend and all that. No. The fact is, and that fact I am not asserting, that fact is evident in our daily living. Let us look at the facts, not imaginations. I am this, I am that, I am great, wonderful. The fact of the matter is, you look at the world, you will only find pettiness, jealousy, burden, all kinds of smallnesses. What do you mean by infinite energy? People are tired of everything. Where is this infinite energy? There is only one infinite. And to equate oneself with the infinite is the greatest act of ego. Yes, the wise men made statements like Aham Brahmasmi. But when they said Aham, they did not mean you and me. The infinite, the Brahm, is the Brahm itself. Nobody else has the right to say that I am infinite. But it is pleasing. The ego likes it. Don't we like it? Oh, you are so great. So I have infinite something, infinite anything. But
We
infinite.
won't be here if we won't be, if we won't come from that. We won't exist if we won't come from that.
You see, when you say we won't exist,
Yeah.
if you say we won't exist, look at what you take yourself to be. Look at what the world takes itself to be. As far as our existence is concerned, our existence is this. And this comes not from infinity, but from your mortal parents. This comes from their sexual act. What do you mean by infinity? But again, I'll say, it is very pleasing to hear. We like it. The ego likes it. I mean, do you cry when the chair is hit? No, but you cry when your knee is hit. You are totally identified with the knee. The proof is that when the chair is hit, you don't react. And this knee comes from the love making of our parents. What do we mean by infinite? Do we know of ourselves as anything other than the body? And I'm not talking of imaginations and ideas. I'm talking of a very, very silent understanding which is not yours, which is totally impersonal.
Where does how can we differentiate between the imagination and the silence that you're talking about?
If it is an imagination, then it will be an imagination. Imagination means image. You will be able to put it in words. You will be able to match it with the concepts that you have read in books or heard from teachers. And does that not happen? All that a spiritual man claims himself to be invariably turns out to be corresponding with, matching with what the scriptures say or what some teacher says. If the scripture says, you know, you are infinite and limitless, then the spiritual one, after some practice and some sadhana, will come and say, you know, I am experiencing myself to be infinite and limitless. Seriously, had you not read that scripture, would you still have said that you are infinite and limitless? think of the Rishi who uttered the first word of the Upanishad. Did somebody come and tell him that he is Brahm? No. That was a fresh thing, not obtained from society, not obtained from a spiritual city, not obtained from a teacher. It was absolutely fresh. But when you say that you are limitless, is it fresh? No, it is not fresh. It is written in 1,000 documents, it is coming from 1,000 gurus. It is simply borrowed. And hence it is imaginary. The true is always available. The role of the teacher is to break the false. So really pardon me if I am attacking a few things. I said the real teacher must hurt you. Because you are the one who is hurting yourself. So you must be hurt. If you are your own disease, then you must disappear. Must you not? Consciousness, madam, is the very content of consciousness. Consciousness is thoughts and ideas. And if you take your thoughts and ideas so seriously, then you will be stuck in consciousness. You want to be stuck there. You want to think that your illness is your solution. You want to think that your enemy is your friend. Unfortunately, with most of us, this seems to be the thought. And what else can poor thought give us? Thought itself is so dependent on this and that. It is so impoverished. I have just this one thing to again and again and again say. We live in senses. The senses are always looking outside. The mind lives in thoughts and ideas. Thoughts and ideas always pertain to the world. You hear something, you watch something, you touch something. We all do that, right? We all are just the same. We all do that. Just be a little careful. It's such a simple advice. Just be a little careful of what this thing is. Please, please do not assume. A pole is just not a pole. A man is just not a man. Words are just not words. So don't go by your previous experience. Don't go by your imaginations. Be a little careful. The new may just be very, very old. And this realization will not make life worthless. This realization will not rob life of its grandeur. The fact is that without this realization, most of us are already living worthless lives. Can life be worse than this? And don't take it personally, just look at the world around. Look at all the catastrophes that are happening all the time. Do you think things could get worse?
Yes.
Is it possible to have really a worse world than that you have already created? And the world, remember, is you and me.
Yes, it's getting worse and worse.
It is getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
Yes, right. What is bad slips further and becomes worse. And when it becomes worse, its tendency to slip even more worsens. It becomes the worst possible. Unfortunately, it does not stop even at being the worst. It slips even further. So do not think that we have a great life and the greatness of this life will be taken away if we keep examining the world, if we keep being careful about the world. The first thing that the Buddha said, the first Arya Satya was, life is suffering. He was not saying that his own life is suffering. He was seeing the world around him and he said life is suffering. That is the difference between a Buddha and us. We are not prepared to admit that life is suffering. We would rather say, no, 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 everything is cool about me, I am just, floating. When the Buddha is saying life is suffering, is he saying that the Buddha's life is suffering? Whose life is suffering? Your and mine. But no. Probably the Buddha was an idiot. Next time, just be a little careful. If life is suffering, then life is always with the world. The world may not be what we think it to be. And there is no great secret. There is no code to be solved. Just don't assume. Don't rely on memory for living. Try to know, ask, inquire.
But what if we don't ask the right questions? What is the right question to ask?
The right question to ask is silence.
There's no question in silence.
Yes? And if silence is not possible, ask just any foolish thing. Answer will still come.
Because I do experience sometimes periods of silence, but it's not an inner silence. It's simply I'm blocking the thoughts. I don't want to allow them, but it's not an inner silence or an inner peace. It's simply I'm trying, I don't want to.
Yes.
Go away.
Yes,
So
yes.
I'm not experiencing any peacefulness.
And it is so
At that
wonderful
point.
that you are conscious of these basic movements of mind. You know what? Most people cannot even describe what you are saying.
I
Most
understand
people.
that, and honestly, I'm very grateful. But on the other side, I'm also very tired.
You called yourself as numb. The fact is, the world is so numb that people do not even know their own situation. You can at least say that you feel a certain pain or apathy or whatever you want to call it, and then you don't feel like living. That most people do not even recognize that they are neck deep in suffering. So this recognition, this feeling of pain is actually good news.
You're gonna make me cry.
Yes, of course. It is actually good news. Only when something wonderful is calling that you start missing it. The thing with the ultimate is that you do not miss it till it calls you. And when you miss it, then you don't feel like living. And if you're not feeling like living, it is proof that he's calling. Calling not in the sense that you will die and then reach there.
Yes, I understand.
The ultimate is not physical. Your physical death will not help you.
No, my
You
body
need-
disappeared one time.
Yes, you need another kind of death.
But I don't reach to that point again. And this
You
is
cannot
something-
reach death. You can only reach more and more of yourself. So don't try to reach. Death is not a destination. Death is your basic nature. Death is your basic nature. That emptiness which Buddha referred to, that I am calling as death. That is your inner heart, your inner void, that cleanliness. That is what I am calling as death. Yes, you don't have to reach death. Just stop reaching. And remember that you are always reaching out to a promise. The moment you are aware and acutely aware of the falseness of all promises, your race to reach stops and you die. Yes.
You talk about how I perceived it. You talked mainly or maybe only about selfish desires when you talked about desires. I'm curious if the same thing that you described about the nature of the selfish desires, that they wish that the desire want to kill itself, if it's also true of not selfish desires, such as helping other people or going and living and doing the will of God.
What's your name?
Asa.
Asa. Every desire is selfish. It is just that the self differs. The nature of desire cannot change. What changes is the center from which the desire is coming. Please understand. What is meant by self? When you say selfish, the core word is self. What is the self? The self could either be what you assume yourself to be, or the self could be what you really are. In either case, you are selfish. So being selfish is not a bad word. Do not operate on the level of morality. The society keeps saying being selfish is bad, being selfish is bad. The fact is that a Rishi or a Buddha or a Jesus is absolutely selfish. But his self is a different self. His self is a true self. You're getting it? Huh? Being selfish is so beautiful. But only when you are not clinging to the fake self. What you called as doing the will of God. You cannot do the will of God till God is your imagination. Till your God is coming from some scripture. Would you know God had no society tutored you in God? Would you know God had your parents not given you a religion? God has come to us in a very second-handed way. God has come to us through the mosque, through the temple, church, through books, scriptures, society. You know God when you know God without the assistance of any social force. So when you are saying that a selfless desire means doing the will of God, then this that you call as God is just the will of society, not the will of God really.
It's true what you're saying. It's not in all cases.
In all cases, without exception, because it is the fundamental nature of the mind. Please understand, even if you say that a particular book is the word of God, who is reading that book? Who is reading that book?
I know God not from any book that I read.
So to do the will of God is not really doing something. The fact is, when you are no more believing in all kinds of falsenesses that there are, then that which happens through you is the will of God. You cannot do the will of God. It is not a positive or active doing that you can enter in. Please understand. Whatever you will do, whether you label it as your own will or the will of your wife or the will of your God, it will ultimately be your own will. God's will gets done when you are just not there. And these are two very different things. Don't conflate them. God's will is a withdrawal, not an active involvement in the world. When you are withdrawing from the world, then you suddenly become very, very important and useful and an agent of real wellness to the world. Till the time you want to do good to the world, you will keep on harming the world. You go to anybody, what do you find? People are all well-wishers. Parents say, we want to do good to our kids. They end up becoming the worst enemies of their kids. Nations say, we want to protect our people. And they end up raising 10,000 nuclear weapons. So much evil gets done in the name of doing good, in the name of helping. It is because you are the helper. You can never be the helper. Only God can be the helper. If you want to be the helper, you will destroy the one you help. And when God helps, then you are just a medium. Then you cannot say you are carrying out God's wish. God alone carries out His wish. Your support is not needed. You can only obstruct. You cannot support God. So let God do what God wants to do. You just withdraw. And when you have withdrawn, then you are a saint who is greatly useful to the world. Greatly, greatly useful to the world. Yeah. Don't enter social service without self-realization. It will be destructive. If you enter social service, if you try to help others without first knowing your own mind, you will destroy the one you want to help. Don't try that. That is happening so regularly. Don't let that happen once again.
How to end the desire? You have been telling. Okay.
Not really how to end it. My interest is in understanding what this whole game of desire is. And when you understand it, then you are free from it. Have I been able to connect even a little? I'm glad. Could I convey something, sir? Huh? Thank you. And lady, life is surely worth living after death.
No, don't worry. I'm not to the point that I'm gonna kill myself or something. No.
No, surely
You know
do kill
that life
yourself.
has- No, I
But
don't
kill
wanna do
yourself
it.
really. Yes. You know, there has been the great poet Kabir. He talks so much about disappearing. He said the world only keeps talking of death, but nobody ever really dies. Only Kabir has died. Any of you who knows Hindi? Nobody knows Hindi at all? I'll still quote for myself. Kabir said, मरण मरण सब करें मरण न जाने कोई. Everybody keeps talking of death. Everybody keeps saying, no. Death is either attractive or terrifying. These are the only two ways in which people look at death. It is either an attraction if you are feeling sad, or it is a terror if you are in a phase of pleasure. So Kabir says, maran maran sab kare maran na jane koi. Nobody really knows death. मैं कबीरा ऐसा मरा दूजा जन्म ना होए. Kabir has died so fully that he will not come back again. You just talk of death. You never really die. Have the guts to really die. Really die. And then life will be beautiful. It is a paradox. But it must be really, really taken to the heart. Yes? Die so fully that you come alive. And that is not the death of the body.
Then the question arises once again, how to die fully?
How do you keep living? Just stop doing that. What is it that you call as being alive? What is it that you call as the daily process of life? Do you really find anything in it? And if it is not giving you really, really anything, then why do you involve yourself in it? That is death. To see the falseness of that which you normally call as life. You don't have to do anything to die. The more you do, the more you will continue that which you call as life. Death is not a doing. Death is the cessation of doing. The bottom line is so simple that we'll say, oh my God, was it the sake of this that we had to be harangued and troubled. The bottom line is, be careful
Be careful of what? Of what?
of all, of everything. Do not walk with dreams in your eyes. Do not live in assumptions. Just as you are asking this
Okay,
question.
if I'm walking, where am I going? Where am I going? Where is this road taking
No,
me?
no, no.
I
no.
just walk
No,
anywhere?
no.
So where am
Because
I
if you are thinking of where this road is taking you, then
No,
you.
okay, I am walking. I am going. I'm walking. So I have a reason to walk, or I just walk?
When you are walking, are you ever really walking? You are always thinking of the place to reach. Walking is always so purposeful, is it not? Have you ever walked meaninglessly?
Yeah.
Just walked.
Yes.
Just walked. That does not really happen.
It does.
Some little bit of motive is always there. Always. Even as you are asking this question, there is a purpose and a motive.
Okay, so I got the flyer of this event and I'm walking here. And then, yes, I have a reason. And sometimes I just get out of the street and I'm walking. I don't have a destination.
Yes.
So I'm just walking.
Now, can you walk into this session absolutely reasonlessly? Is that possible? Come on, say yes. Don't just wring your hands. Say yes.
Could you repeat the question?
Even listening to that question is so nice, eh? Can you walk into this session without any purpose and reason?
You can, yes.
Not only can, you must. And when that happens, then God is working through you. Now, it is not your will that is operating. Existence is working through you. You do not know why it is attractive. You do not know whether it is attractive. All you know is that your legs took you here. Now that will sound so absurd. You will say, but then my legs can take me anywhere. Don't you see you are worried for your security? You are saying my legs should only take me to the place which is right, safe, secure and purposeful for me. No. Listen purposelessly, walk in without any reason, and then it is so cool, you're died. Let the dead man walk. After death, no worries. When we are walking, we are never really walking. What's your name? Elena. You see, we are never really walking because walking is never what we want. We want to reach. Do you ever want to walk? No, you want to reach. Even when you say I'm going for a walk, the fact is that walk has a limited time, has a limited area, and is always carrying some kind of motive behind it. Yes?
Yeah, but I don't necessarily make an expectation out of the walk. I mean, there is periods like, okay, I know I'm walking, I need to get to work, to my place of work, or I'm going for a vacation, I'm gonna walk there or take a flight, or I'm gonna reach there. But there is also moments when you, even though maybe you say, okay, I'm gonna go for a walk because I need to relax or something, but there is a certain time, but it's not already in your mind set up like it's an hour or
It is not there
2 hours,
in the.
3 hours.
It is not there in the conscious mind. When I'm saying be careful, I mean exactly this. Be in awareness of even that which normally escapes your attention. It will open up, it will reveal itself when you pay attention to it, when you observe it. You might not be expecting anything from the walk in the sense of achievement, but please see that you are still expecting what will not happen when you are walking. When you are going out, let's say you are saying that I'm going out for a stroll. I'm not reaching anywhere. I'll just hang about, roam here and there, wander and come back. Maybe that's what you're saying?
No, I'm just trying to understand.
Yes. So let this elaboration come. So you are saying that I'm walking and I'm not going to reach anywhere. I'm going to come back to the home. So it does not involve reaching. So you're not really trying to gain anything. That's your assertion. But still, please see that there is an expectation. At least you expect that when you will return from the walk, the house will still be there.
It's more of an assumption. We don't expect it. It's always there.
There,
Like,
it's
we know
always
it's
there.
gonna
Yes,
be there.
yes, yes.
Same
That's-
like when
that's
we go
what-
to
that's
sleep.
what-
Otherwise, we will be
yes,
so
yes.
afraid not
So
to
that when you
sleep.
wake up, the world would still be there, right?
Yeah, we kind of know this,
Yes,
that
yes,
it's gonna be there.
So these basic assumptions that we take as common sense, that we take as natural, be cautious of them. Please be cautious of them. That which you have assumed to be true is the enemy of truth. And the more solid your assumption is, the more solid that enemy is. Are you getting it? Don't you assume that when you wake up, it will be the same old world. Don't you assume that when you go to sleep, the world is still there. Don't you assume all these things?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we need to examine. That's what I mean by being careful. All the basic assumptions. Do not ask how to inquire. Just not believing is sufficient. The inquiry will happen on its own. Just recognize that you have been believing. Every belief is a belief in the promise.